Anybody who was born in the 1970s, 80s, 90s, who had a history teacher that, even though she was lesbian, she was not politically biased. She was like a regular gay person before they added all the extra letters and the extra colors and everything. And she taught me, about the JFK. And so anybody born in, the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, they still have an idea that if you are approached by, I don't care how lofty of a position, somebody really high up, okay, let's say that you were deemed to go on a secret mission and trained by the fucking military itself, and they told you keep everything secret, okay? You would still think that if I'm aiming a gun at a president, that there's a gun aimed at me too right now. Because we have an example, we have an iteration, we have an iteration that we can refer to, like one example, okay? That's enough. Anybody with a classical education in history knows about power brokering and all of the backdoor slimy shit, okay? This isn't fucking new to anybody, that if you, okay, walk into the Ethiopian Episcopal Church and a white t-shirt and a bowl haircut like the Beatles, okay, with a pistol in your hip, and they sit you down and they want to convert you, and they wanted to reason with you, and they want you to turn your life over to Christ, even though you came there to blow somebody down, you would have to think that after you leave the building, like, you're gonna get it too. You're not gonna be allowed to live so you can change your mind about, and say, like, in court, let's say, like, you know what, I realized that I was living my life totally backwards. My perspective was thrown off. I thought everybody was just a fucking pile of meat jello. I didn't know that they were inhabited by a life form, so I didn't value them. And I changed my mind now. Because by the time you change your mind, they know everything about you. By the time you realize you're wrong, somebody outside of society is capable of humility, because if they're faced with enough, because they're basically just stupid, okay? If there's enough teetering on the possibility of coincidence being like an imbalance, they're going to have an epiphany, and they're going to reflect an epiphany. And it doesn't matter how evil or dumb they are, because every human being has a drop of compassion. They're just like, you can dig it out before they mass murder somebody. You have to try to find it because it comes from the ground up. It comes from the stomach. So like the anger and confusion and the impulse to override your better reason will have to rise from out of somewhere, and then you have to catch it. So you try to catch it before it comes here, you know what I mean? It comes here, now you're talking. It comes here, you're acting, you're taking action, right? But it started in your stomach brain. Yeah, if you're thinking with this brain, then everything should come naturally. You're a genius. But the stomach brain, or the pee-pee brain or something, like, the lower it goes, then the brain is like operating on a lower, the base of the bottom part of the very bottom part of the brain is at the top of the spine. It's the brain stem. That's your reptilian brain. Fight, flee, fornicate, and feed. But it concentrates on fighting, whether I should fight, flee, or if you can feed and fornicate. But you need it. Even though reptilians and everything, we know that they're like, you know, shape-shifting and shit, but you still need that part of the brain. So you're not going to cut it out despite the fact that people use it for the wrong purpose. We decided it's the wrong purpose. There's no right or wrong. It's whoever can decide you use it for the wrong purpose, and then we send you back to the ancestors' realm to let them know that we don't want this kind. We didn't ask for this kind. You know, when they invented Basketball America, they were trying to call in energies from the universe to kind of right the wrong path of society, which is like a civilization that needs new energy and new life breathed into it, so that they would go and sacrifice their athletes that were the most fit, best example of a sacrifice, because you can't sacrifice something that you don't want. A defect, you don't give somebody with a defect and call it a sacrifice. So the players who were able to bounce a heavy ball off their hip into a basketball hoop, that has to be like a hard feat to accomplish. And when you score the most points, you're the most willing, ready, at the peak of, like, you know, everything. You're basically, they're saying they're at the peak of the contribution to society could produce, and their society is still in decline. Oh, they'll make up a reason to do some shit like sacrificing humans. If they think they're going to call into creation another energy that can fix, and you know what I'm saying, because we don't know what kind it is. It's going to be all kind of stuff. They can they can lose an eye in a fucking joust. Okay, but with our direction, we can't set the course on the right path. It's going to be a freak thing. It's going to be a freak thing. We just overcorrecting and dragging, you know, and then with dialectics, it's so cloudy and foggy. Then we can all just get dragged down into the murk of the swamp. So that's their reasoning. You can say that, oh, well, they're flawed and everything, but I'm not arguing whether they're flawed or not. I'm just saying what could go into the decision where it got into their mind that it was the right action course to take, you know. Because before that, they didn't use the pyramids for sacrifice. There was something other purpose for what a building does. Or what tells you about which buildings do what, which would be like Mother Nature. Because you're thinking about Mother Nature. It is Mother Nature, but it's before accepted Masonry, where the agenda of architecture, you know, I mean, there's an agenda in architecture, and, you know, it's not a wrong thing for you to have an agenda, you know, and the Mother Nature was telling you where you can seek and what you can expect to find, and, you know, it's Masonry shit, even though it's Mother Nature. The angels helped us doing things like with fire and metallurgy and animal husbandry and stuff. Even if God only likes some kinds of animal husbandry, like you said, I like that you work the beasts of the land. I don't like that you tend to the crops, or I mean the other way around, or something like that. You know, Cain and Abel. It's like one of them was like tending to the crops, the other one decided to manage the beasts of the land, right? So God didn't like one of their jobs at one point in time. I'm not saying you shouldn't eat meat. That's for somebody else video, a whole other video.